This is part 2 of the Vermillion Teacher arrested, and basically my opinion as a former teacher in Louisiana. I need to clarify some things. The parish this happened in was not Vermillion Parish, first and foremost. Also, I went and looked up on the internet on who is still in the system today that was involved 17 years ago. Because honestly, when I left that parish, I didn't look back. The ADA became DA for several terms, but he is now retired. And I think fairly recently, because I saw the reinstatement in 2014, but there is a new DA today in 2017. So he was probably there the last term and retired. The librarian still works in the system. She's a good person. I don't know if she'd be willing to stand up and back me on anything I say. I would hope the retired DA would. The coach being arrested, that's public information. That could be definitely looked up as far as the timing and how many years he actually got total, which I think was 2 years, but time served and 9 months additional because that is what happened. We were all floored. Everybody in the society, once he was convicted, was floored. The teacher I spoke of, who I lost a friendship over, this is a teacher who allowed that person to watch her own children and said she would still do it. And I advised her never to do that. But she was on his side and she didn't believe a word of it. He was just a victim, the teacher, meaning the coach. Her husband is a judge in that parish. The superintendent is still the superintendent. That is what bothers me the most. But let me tell you how these people operate. Not long after me reporting it and he getting arrested, you're evaluated every year, sometimes every 3 years, no, depending on how long you were in the system. At least that's how it was done back then, to make sure that you're still competent and still up to par on teaching your students. I got an unsatisfactory evaluation for the first time ever. I was so upset because I had students that stayed with me for 90 minutes when they were supposed to switch over to another teacher because they had threatened to hurt her, etc. And I took on those students. I controlled them. I was able to interact with them and actually get them to do positive things. Back then, they were labeled behaviorally disordered. Yet, I get the unsatisfactory evaluation. It wasn't a coincidence. I was so hurt and then angry that I stayed home for 3 days. I then got a call from the principal regarding my staying home and if I was coming back with an attitude. And I said, what you did to me was totally uncalled for and unfair and untrue. If you do not rip up those papers in my file in front of me, I will be taking you to court. I went into the office and she ripped up the papers and took them out of the file. Now, who knows? if there's not still a piece of paper in that file, if it still exists, that says I got an unsatisfactory evaluation. The next evaluation I did, I was fine. And everyone since then and everyone before then. But I well let her know she was not going to mess with me. And I would take it to the next level if necessary. I had my students and the parents of the students and other teachers, maybe, that would back me. But definitely my students, my babies. So, there were repercussions to what I did. But I stood up and tried to minimize them. So, the superintendent is still there in charge of all the students in that parish. And the one law she broke that I know of, the one law I followed, not just because it was a law, because it's morally correct, was the law of being a mandated reporter as a teacher or anybody involved with students or young children. If you see signs of abuse or you hear of possible abuse of any kind, you are mandated to report it to the counselor of the school, and it is to be investigated. I did that, and it wasn't investigated. And then I told you they had the nerve to go in there after he was arrested and act shocked with the ADA at the time. So yes, she broke a law. Now, if this was to come to surface today, would the DA back me, who's retired? Maybe. Would the librarian back me, who's still in the system? Probably not. She's, that's her livelihood. That's her life. And people aren't like me. She couldn't even go there and report it by herself in the first place. I had to drag her in there with me. She's the one who told me about the student years ago who had his first sexual experience with this coach. Would the principal admit that she was told by me? No. I'd need the librarian to support that. I'd need the DA to support that. The retired DA. No one knew this. No one. But one other person, and lips were sealed only for moral support for me. This story has never been told to anyone, except for the DA and that lawyer that I went to go see for the free consultation, and one friend I trusted. This is the first time I have ever said this out loud. I never even told my family. They have no idea. Was it a burden? Yeah. It was a burden. It still weighs heavily on my heart today. It affected me greatly to see people do this. It was disheartening. And to see people try and make my life difficult because I was just trying to protect the children. To see people be successful and move up in ranks, like the woman who is still superintendent today, after her neglecting a law, neglecting morals, to not put the children first, to not do what should have been done. I went to the ADA at the time to make sure somebody might do something. And it did come to fruition, and he was arrested. But not for long enough. But again, he's not in the school system anymore. But the superintendent is still there, making tons of money watching over those children. All I can do is pray. I don't have the financial backing to go back and report this. We are years and years past this. Years and years. I'd love to take her out of there. I'd love it. But I did what I could. I did everything I could. And more children were protected. I wanted to thank the couple of comments I got from some people who watched my video that were very supportive. I actually had one of my maybe a subscriber comment and thank me. RD, thank you. That's the first time I've ever that's the first time I've ever been thanked. The parents never knew it was me. I didn't even know who the parents were. I didn't know the children, who they were. I'm sure I knew them, but I didn't know which ones. So, being thanked means a lot. None of you know me. Truly know me. You just listen to this and you form your own opinion, which is normal in what we all do. But I want you to know it was the truth. And I know I'm not the only one in this state or in this country who has been unfairly treated and stressed out to the point where they're being watched all the time in the class, intimidated, etc., because they aren't in the clique. They don't follow whatever it is that the administrator's intentions are. They follow their heart and they do what is right by law and by their morals. This wasn't a choice for me. I guess I had a choice. I could have just kept my mouth shut and nobody would have ever known except for the librarian who would never speak out. But in my heart, there was no choice. Because it was about the children. It wasn't about me. It's about innocent children and the possibility that children were still being hurt. And it turned out to be true. And I wasn't happy about that. At all. I wanted to know who they were. And put my arms around them. And say, I am so sorry this happened to you. And it's not your fault. But I couldn't. I'm sorry, my phone is shaking. I'm upset. Just know we do exist. There are a few of us that do exist who care deeply. But we are thwarted. We are unfairly treated. We are unfairly documented to our detriment. And then one day, we just finally can't do it anymore. I still have students who call me, who are on Facebook. They're grown men and women. If they need my help, I'm there. I went on to teach more, and I gave it up as of 2 years ago. there are other things along the way, like my children's accident, etc. But I went back to teaching in a different area. But there are things that go on even here. And that's another story. But I wanted to speak out about the teacher who was arrested and how deplorable it really was. Disgusting. And it triggered me into remembering 17 years ago and what happened. And how these people of authority take advantage of good people and can ruin their careers that aren't there for the children, really aren't there for the children. Oh, when you meet them, they're some of the best people you've ever met in your life. But behind closed doors, you don't really know what's going on. You don't know who they are. And unfortunately, I found out along the way. So, I'm highly educated, and I'm doing something else that doesn't require a college degree, because it's something I put behind a long time ago, and maybe or maybe not I'll be successful with it. But I'm not sitting pretty like some of these people are who don't deserve it at all. But ultimately, I'm happy, even though I'm crying, because just remembering makes me sad. But ultimately, I'm happy because I kept my dignity intact. They couldn't take that away from me. Don't ever allow anybody to take that away from you, no matter what material things they may take away. You do the right thing, and we'll be rewarded one day with things that are unimaginable. I don't expect to be rewarded here on earth. Woo, it's cold outside. But I just wanted to follow up to let you know that it was not in the same parish. It was not in Vermillion Parish. I want to make that clear. The proof is all there if anybody ever wanted to dig it up. Some people might talk and tell the truth. I don't know. But know that I'm genuine. Know that I care. Know that from here until the day I die, I will always do the right thing. And if you think this can help anybody, or somebody would be interested, please share and like this video. I have very few subscribers, and my goal is to help people. So please pass this on. And thank you to the ones who did comment and give me support. It means more than you know. Thank you, RD.